Hello, everyone, and welcome to Shaper Sessions. My name is Jake.
And I'm Russ.
Today, we have a very cool show for you. We're doing hand-drawn traces inlaid with Origin.
Two ways.
Yes.
So we've got two fun applications to show you. Let's pull this up on the overhead cam here, Goose. We've got an oak leaf inlay that we're going to put in this drawer face, and a really fun one from our friend Andy in Germany. We've got an application here where we're going to patch organically this knot in this piece of ash so that you would never know that it was there.
Pretty cool. It's like magic.
Yeah. We've got a lot of other exciting stuff happening today because we're giving away all kinds of stuff.
Yes. We have a special friend of Shaper in the chat, Mr. Mike Coffey. He participated in our trade-in program, and we're going to give away his Origin today.
Absolutely. So to enter that, you are going to answer the poll question that comes up about halfway through the show, and then we're going to give away the router in the Q&A section, live Q&A at the end. We also have, from our friends at Rubio Monocoat, another, because we did this last time also, another can, 390 milliliters of Rubio Monocoat Pure Oil Plus 2C that we're giving away, and we're going to give away a trace kit today because we're using it so much in the show.
Yeah. I see a lot of new people in here today. Thank you for joining. And for our regulars, it's always great to see you. Thank you for being here. Let's head into it.
Yeah. Let's just go ahead and cut this.
Let's do it.
As Jake is cutting this oak leaf out, we just want to get started with cutting something fun. Then we will walk you through 100% of this process, start to finish, how to trace this, how to get it to Origin, how to set up Origin to make this cut. But we want to start off by just showing you how easy it is to cut this stuff.
Nice.
Okay. For everyone who is new, once again, welcome to Shaper Sessions. This is our live show that we do every other Thursday to teach you how to use Shaper Origin in your woodshop. We've got all kinds of shows, over 110 now, I think. This might be the 110th show. We've got a lot of shows about all different topics, from cutting soft metals with Origin, introduction to mortise and tenon with Shaper Origin. Today we're doing some inlays with trace. We've got all different kinds of inlays that you can do as well. Working on floors, working big, working small, and on all of those sessions, you can find those at shapertools.com/sessions to look back and learn more. Today we're doing kind of an introductory show, just about, how would I take this simple two-dimensional shape. You can see that this oak leaf is a total two-dimensional silhouette. It's not multi-parts, it's just one. And how can I take that and use that to add a nice little feature to a woodworking project? In this case, this drawer front. Jake is driving Origin around this oak leaf inlay right now. He's cutting out the positive. When we work with Origin, we always cut the positive first and then the negative second, because it's easier to fine-tune that fit with the negative. And we'll show you guys how to do all of that. And what he's doing here is he's just following along the dotted line. As long as Jake keeps that dotted line inside the circle, he is keeping it close enough for the router to automatically correct for any little movement that he introduces to that system, and it's going to keep him right on the line. So this leaf is going to be exactly what we drew by the time it comes out of this piece of wood. We're using AutoPass today. AutoPass is letting Jake go down through each of the steps of this oak leaf automatically. And I want to show you one cool thing here really quick. This is what happens when you go outside of that circle. So I said you just follow along with that circle, with the dotted line inside the circle to keep Origin on the path. Well, what happens when you go outside of that line? It's going to automatically retract to prevent you from messing up your work. So that's what's going to allow us to cut this perfect shape every time we're cutting to the outside of this line, the template line, because we're making the positive right now. When we cut the negative, we're going to be cutting to the inside of exactly the same template line. So really cool, way easier than doing anything like this with a plunge router. Really hard to make a positive and negative with one of those. And it's really portable. You can take this to the job site, you can inlay things into the floor. We can use it across multiple parts.
Sweet.
Not bad.
Not bad at all.
How'd it feel?
Great. Yeah, we did that in 2 passes.
I can tell you focused on pulling this off without splintering the inlay.
Very, very important.
A little focused. I won't distract you too much. Again, we're going to go through all of the cut settings for this for the negative side of this inlay. But let's go ahead and brush this off and then show it compared to this drawing. Got our fancy shaper brush. Looks like this side. Yeah, there we go. Let's show that off on that overhead cam there, Goose. Beautiful. So that's our inlay piece. There's our drawing. Let's show you guys start to finish the process for how we got this drawing into the router, and then we'll cut the negative.
Nice.
What do you think?
I'll get set up for that.
Yeah, perfect. Don't get set up too far because
Okay.
we want to show folks the steps, but maybe pop the material on the shelf. Here's that drawer front. I want to remind everybody, I think we might have neglected to mention this. There is, again, a live Q&A at the end of the show. That's when we're doing the giveaways, so you're going to want to hang on for that, but you're also going to want to hang on for that because that's your opportunity to get your questions answered live. So to do that, just drop your questions in the chat, the text box. We've got Ted in the chat today. He's going to answer as many questions as he can via text, but also any questions that are like demo questions, he'll send to us. Jake and I will do at the end of the show.
Nice.
Perfect. All right, let's look at trace. This is the trace frame. Let's go ahead and show this on the overhead here. This is the trace frame. We use that with a phone to take a picture, and it's going to convert your hand drawings to the digital vector file that Origin and a lot of other digital fabrication tools use. If we go over to the phone here, this is the Trace app. What do we think about the phone? Goose, is the phone running? There we go. We've got the Trace app here. Basically, what we're looking at right now is a live camera feed out in front. You'll see that it says frame not visible. It's looking at the frame. It needs the whole thing to be in the picture. So all we're going to do is pop it over there. You'll see it turns black and white, ready to capture. And I'm going to press this button at the bottom of the screen to take that picture. Now, it doesn't matter what angle you're taking this photo at because it's going to automatically correct for any distortion and flatten that image to give you exactly what you drew. And here's that oak leaf. That's as simple as that. Here's that file ready to cut. One cool thing about Trace is that it allows you to show not only your outline, which is both sides of this black line that I drew, but also my center line. There are really not any other digital tools that do this, and this is perfect for inlays like we're doing today, where you want to cut just to both sides of one single line for a perfect fit. It's also really good for engravings. Now, I'm going to gloss over some of the more complex settings of Trace here because we have a lot of other sessions on Trace that go into further detail.
Yeah.
I would recommend you watch those shows. We might hit some more of the settings later to spice it up a little bit. But for now, I'm just going to save this because right off the bat, this is exactly what I want. I'm going to hit the blue check mark at the bottom of the screen. And here's where it gives me some options. If I'm using a different digital fabrication tool, I can save this SVG to my phone. I can email it to myself. I can send it to my laser cutter, my embroidery machine, whatever. The second thing here I can do is save to Shaper My Files. This is what I'm going to do for this project. We could also open this with Shaper Studio, which is our simplified digital design tool for craftspeople. If you need to modify your file in a more complex way than you can do in Trace itself. The last option here is to share the screenshot, which is just a nice way to share what you're working on with your friends. Now, I already synced this file to Origin. I hit Shaper My Files. I think we're off the phone screen here, just to show you what that looks like. Type your file name in here, hit save, oak, leaf. We would hit save there. I already synced this over to Jake, but you can see that it comes up instantly because we're all connected on the same account. It comes up instantly on the tool.
Nice. All right, I'm just swapping over to an 1/8" bit to make hogging out some of the material a little faster. Let's go ahead and scan in our workspace.
Yeah, so a little bit of background here for everyone new. Origin works on this image map of your workspace. It's looking at these dominoes, and we're just going to start by taking a big picture of this whole workspace. We call that a scan. And that's going to allow you to see through the camera what you're working on as you work on Origin's screen.
Grab that file again. There it goes.
Nice.
That's perfectly oriented.
Yeah, the cool thing about this is that you can totally place it by hand. More complex things like mortise and tenon joinery, we might want to make a grid which allows us to align our work precisely to edges with dimensions and positions. But for this inlay, this is a really artful two-dimensional thing. We can place it kind of wherever we want, tastefully in this corner. So what do you think, Jake, right there?
Right there.
And pressing the green button locks that template into place. So now you can see as Jake's moving the router around, that template stays locked exactly where we want it.
Sweet. All right, hop over into cut. We have a couple things we need to do. One, our depth is relative to the thickness, obviously, of our inlay piece.
Should be 0.16, I think.
0.16. 0.14.
What?
What?
Okay.
0.14.
And we want this pocket to be a little bit shallower than the thickness of the inlay piece so that the inlay is just barely proud. And we can control that to the 1,000th of an inch or 10th of a millimeter.
Yeah. In fact, let's do 145. 135.
A little shallower. Yeah.
There. That's what I meant.
Nice.
All right. Okay. We're going to change this cut type from the outside, which we used on the positive, to an inside. But first, we're going to pocket.
Yeah, let's take a look at those options one more time. So the green line, for anyone who's new, the green line is our actual template. Last time we cut the oak leaf, we cut to the outside of the green line. Eventually, we're going to cut to the inside of the green line. We need to clear that all out with the pocket. The crosshatched gray area shows you what you're going to cut. But if you were engraving, for example, you could cut on the line itself if you wanted to engrave this oak leaf into your project. Or if you didn't want to cut it at all, you could change it to a guide.
Next up, we have offsets. We're not going to worry about that yet. We're going to come back to that when it's time to really finesse the fit of that oak leaf. Bit size, I've changed to 1/8 of an inch. And it's going to tell me to Z-touch. That's determining where 0 is. And we're ready to go.
Do we need to worry about speeds at all, Jake?
I think my speeds are basically default right now.
Okay, perfect.
Spindle speed at 5.
Yeah, we leave those speeds at default for most hardwoods and plywoods. That's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got enough room over here with the camera. Yep.
So what's going to happen? You're going to go ahead and pocket that out with 1/8 inch.
Exactly. I'm just going to hog all this out. Then we're going to come back in and switch to that 1/16 inch bit and take away just that little bit left over.
Okay, perfect.
Too much.
All right, so we've graduated from outside cuts to a pocket cut. And you can see here, again, that kind of lighter white area is the area that Jake is completely removing with this pocket cut. And you can see as he goes around that the blue represents the area that he's already cut away. So his goal here for this pocket is to turn the whole area blue. On the inside of that pocket, Origin is going to work just like a standard plunge router where the spindle is locked right to the center of that corrective range. Now the magic happens when Jake reaches the boundary of that pocket. That's when the corrective range kicks in to keep him from going past the boundary of that pocketing area. You can see also that there's a little bit of a gap between the blue line and the template line that we're eventually going to go up to. That's on purpose because these roughing passes are, these pocketing passes are more like roughing passes. You want to leave just a little bit of wiggle room there at the end to come in and clean up with a finer inside cut. So we're going to come back with that 1/16 inch bit and clean that up right to the line. The same things apply for retraction as they did for the inside cut and the outside cut. If Jake goes too far outside of this crosshatched area, Origin will automatically retract that spindle so that he doesn't accidentally cut too far into this drawer front. Nice thing about that is not only is the saving the work, because the template is digital, it's also saving the template. So we've all had that experience with a plunge router where, you accidentally cut into the template, and then not only do you have to start again with your work, but you have to start again with a new template too. And this definitely saves you that hassle. We're going all the way to the final depth of this with that 1/8 inch bit. When we did the outside cut with the 16th inch bit, Jake did that in 2 passes. That's because the 16th inch bit is a pretty small diameter, so we do want to be careful about overloading that bit and potentially breaking it. But this 1/8 inch bit is much sturdier, so we can go all the way down to this 0.135 inch depth on this. We could go even further if we really wanted to, but we could go down to this 0.135 inch depth on this pocket and not really worry about it. How are we looking so far?
Good.
So we're missing a little bit of the stem. We're going to need to come in and clean that up because the 1/8 inch bit didn't fit in there. And this is going to be a little bit smaller right now than the size of the actual oak leaf. What if we put this on top just to show folks the difference there? But you can see the shapes of those positive and negative are really starting to come together there.
Nice. Okay.
Cleaning a little bit of gunk out of there.
Just a little bit of
Important
gunk.
to keep your router bits clean, everybody.
All right, so we're going to cut this to 0. Or should we jump to an offset?
I would give it a little bit of an offset.
Okay.
I think we know at this point that inlays take just a little bit of an offset to fit perfectly. Because if you're not using an offset, you're cutting right to the inside of the template and you're cutting right to the outside of the template. And that's a perfect line-on-line fit. You can imagine the friction that it takes to push those two together.
Yep.
We could make it happen if we, used a support block and a mallet. But really,
A little persuasion.
we could really force it together. But I think just a couple thousandths of an inch of offset, removing just a little bit of extra material from this pocket is going to make that super easy. I think 3 thousandths.
Yeah, nice. All right, so I'm changing this pocket. I just put my 16th inch bit in. I'm going to change from pocket to inside.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's going to let me get into all those nooks and crannies.
Mm-hmm. And you did your Z-touch.
Did my Z-touch.
And we want to do the offset last but not least.
Yeah. So we're making this shape a little bigger. So the one thing we need to do is make sure it's in the negative direction. And that goes past our green line by just 3 thousandths of an inch.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Cool. And are you going all the way to the full depth on this one?
I
Just
am.
in one go? Okay.
I am.
Because you've got a lot of clearance around this bit now, so the chips are going to
Yeah, I feel good about it. I might,
go away a little faster.
you know what I'm going to do before we get rolling?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to pocket out this little bit right here.
Okay. Nice. In general, when you're clearing out a big area of material or doing a full width slot, that's a slot that's cut the full width of the router bit diameter. We recommend for smaller bits especially that you go no more than 1 router bit diameter in depth to cut that full slot or to hog out that pocket. So that's what Jake's doing now. He's just clearing this out a little bit, and then we can go back and we can do the finishing pass on this with that full depth, because with the clear pocket around the finishing pass, we're going to have a lot of room for those chips to be evacuated, for that sawdust to leave the cut. It's when chips get jammed up in the router bit that you end up breaking bits, unfortunately. So you got to look out for that with the smaller bits, especially ones as small as this 16th of an inch. But we've gone as small, I would say, as about a 0.5 millimeter. I think it was an inch number, but it was like 0.025. It's a little bit over a 0.5 millimeter router bit diameter with Origin to get super fine corner details on things like inlays. And it's totally cool to do. You just want to make sure that you're moving the router at an appropriate pace That's where auto mode can come in, and that's where the speeds come in as well. We didn't touch the speeds for this inlay, but those are accessed on that bottom button on the menu. You would want to just slow those speeds down if you're using a tiny router bit, or if you're cutting a harder material. Origin's good for soft metals like brass and aluminum, but if you're cutting one of those, you're going to want to slow down your plunge speed, slow down your auto speed, and slow down your spindle speed as well. So you can see now that Jake's finished that pocket, he is coming back for this inside cut with the 3/1000ths of an inch offset. That negative offset means that he's going to be removing a little bit of extra material. A positive offset means that you're leaving a little bit of extra material. In this case, when we're doing a mortise, removing a little bit of extra material is going to make that pocket bigger. If we were doing this on a tenon, for example, that negative offset would actually make that tenon slightly smaller, because a negative offset always means that you're removing more material. What do you think?
Golden.
You want to give it a test fit?
I do. And of course, we don't have the mallet anywhere inside, but that's okay. I don't think we're going to need it.
What do you think? Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's it.
Cool.
That
There
is
we go.
it.
That's beautiful.
Nice sapele and white oak contrast.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet. Hopefully
There
we
we
didn't
go.
want to get that out, because that's in there now.
Good time for a mid-show break.
Yeah.
What do you think? We got a couple things to talk about before we go into our next demo, which again is going to be patching this knot in the ash. Let's go ahead and show this again for everybody who's just coming in. We've got this knot that we're going to patch, and hopefully, if we do everything the way that I hope that it works out, it's going to be invisible.
Ooh, nice.
Let's see how that works. But before we get to that, okay, y'all have been asking, how do we enter this giveaway? This is where that comes in. We've got a poll question coming up. The poll question today, we're just curious, what's your shop tool budget for the year? What's your shop budget for the year? We've got our own shop budget for the year. I would love a nicer, those sliding crosscut things. I want one of those sliding crosscut things for the table saw.
A sled?
Not a sled, the big attached one, the like European style.
Ah, yes.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to keep asking you for this. Hopefully we'll get it. But what's your shop budget for the year? In the meantime, while that's up, again, that's how you enter to win not just Trace, not just a 390 milliliter can of Rubio Monocoat, but also Mike Coffey's signed Shaper Origin.
Yep.
So make sure you answer that poll question. We're going to be giving those away at the end of the show during the Q&A. Also, make sure that you ask as many questions as you want, because we're here to answer them.
Yeah. And just because you showed up today, which we greatly appreciate, Rubio has also offered us to offer you a discount code, which is going to be right in the chat. So keep your eye out for that in the chat. That is good until the 31st.
August 31st.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is for one purchase. That's on RubioMonocoatUSA.com. And if you missed it this time, because some hypothetical future viewer is watching this on YouTube, not you all are here, so you get this discount code. Please join us live on our next Shaper session, because I don't know when exactly we're doing the next giveaway or the next discount code, but it could be at any time.
Yep.
All right. We have more cool stuff to show you. Remember last year we did Masterclass Live here at San Francisco headquarters?
How could I forget?
Remember when we did Masterclass Live at the Florida School of Woodwork in Tampa this spring?
Absolutely.
Remember when we're going to do Masterclass Live again in San Francisco this fall?
Absolutely. Yes.
Oh, this is so much fun. So we just finished putting together the lineup for our next Masterclass Live show/event
/party
here in San Francisco. It's going to be October 25th and 26th. Tickets are not for sale yet, but I have a preview page to show you. So let's go ahead and look at this. We've got, here's the details, Woodworking Masterclass Live, October 25th and 26th, Shaper HQ, San Francisco, California. We've got 3 incredible instructors. We've got Yuri Kobayashi, who's going to be teaching steam bending, both by hand and with big fixtures. We've got Phil Morley, who's going to be teaching advanced joinery with Shaper Origin. And we've got Adrian Ferrazzuti, who's going to be teaching inlay techniques, hand-cut geometric inlay techniques. And this is all super cool stuff. Tickets will be $475 each, and that includes a ton that we will get to by the time I get to the bottom of this page. Here you can see You can see about 25%, if that, of the fun that everybody was having at the last couple events.
Yeah.
I love seeing these big smiles. This is people cutting hand-cut marquetry at Frank's class over here on the right. I'm getting distracted. This was so much fun. Yeah, 475. Oh, I forgot the class that we're doing.
Oh,
We're doing Shaper Fundamentals on Friday. So the structure of this is that Friday we'll be teaching a 2-hour course on the Origin system, the Shaper system. And then on Saturday, we have 3 2-hour classes each. We have 60 attendees. They're split into 3 groups of 20, and each of those groups is going to be rotating through these 3 classes, 2 hours each. Catered breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Mm-hmm.
We've got beers.
Mm-hmm.
We've got... What else? Let's go back to the list.
We got swag.
I need to go back to the list at this point. Can we go up to the computer? Yeah, nice. We got Shaper swag. We've got $100 credit to the Shaper store. That's basically like knocking $100 off the ticket price. Not literally, but you all know that you want a new router bit. And then, yeah, here, let's look more about these classes and instructors. So if you're not familiar with Yuri's work, look at this incredible steam bent rocking chair. So we're going to be making parts similar to this as a group project, and then some individual work for freeform steam bending. This is Adrian Ferrazuti's work. He was a graduate of the College of the Redwoods under James Krenov, so pretty good pedigree there. Super sharp woodworker. Check out his Instagram if you haven't seen it yet. Incredible like problem solving. He's got some like how-to reels. And then Phil Morley, who we all know and love. We've done a couple of projects with Phil, and he's going to be teaching advanced joinery with Shaper Origin. Now, this site and ticket sales are going to be up, next week sometime?
Soon. Very soon. So make sure to get notified and keep an eye out for it because they tend to go fast.
They tend to go fast.
Yeah.
But we're excited to see all of you here.
Cool.
Okay. And last but not least, we have our shop tour. We're running a little low on shop tours, so I'm going to put out a call to action.
Hey.
Send us a shop tour.
Send us a shop tour.
We're going to send you something nice in exchange for that. What we're looking for is a 3 to 4 minute video, landscape mode, ideally, so it fits on everybody's screens as we're watching. Narrated. We love to hear you talk about your shop. And as thanks, we will send you something cool.
Yeah.
And send that to us at our email address, sessions@shapertools.com. Without further ado, we've got Tom in Alaska. This is a really cool one.
Yeah.
Hi, it's Tom from Alaska, and this is my shop. I start outside with my sawmill, my bobcat, toolcat. This entire structure was made out of Doug fir power poles. And we head on to the garage. That's my addition over there. That is my chainsaws and saw sharpening. Again, all made from Doug fir power poles, about 60-year-old poles. I've got my 4-car garage here. Front part's a actual 4-car garage. My boat, my man kitchen over there. You see right here, this is a set of kitchen cabinets, bathrooms, laundry rooms. All of these were made from 60-year-old cedar power pole. Right down to, there's 6 bullets that I cut in half with the sawmill that are still in there. Come on back into the shop. So I got my wood stove, got air injection in the bottom to keep the fire going. Come this way, got my panel saw, a couple of roll-around tables, my dream table saw since I was young, the Delta Unisaw. Come over here, I got my Tormac knife sharpener, and then I have a set of cabinets here. I recessed the doors 2 inches, so I have 1/4-inch French cleats that I make on Shaper that I can move all my to-go tools around. So here's my Shaper workstation. Down here we got all of my tools for workstation. Go down here, my plate, trace, calipers, fence. The Tormac, I got all of the, basically everything for the Tormacs in all those drawers. Got my chisels up here, my go-tool stuff. My chisels are sharp. I love sharp chisels. My go-to tape measure. All of these drawers are full of my go-to bits, Phillips, 1-3s, extensions, Torx bits. So my CA glue. This is my work table right here. Got all of my fest tools down here, a few empty slots. Got a couple $1,000s to go before I fill them up. Come this way, kind of throw all my general tools over here. Wood storage there. Got my Craig Foreman. Actually quite happy with that. This project I got going right here now, this whole center gets cut out. I use the 1400 there. I've got this stained glass window that a customer made that it's going in that top door. She did absolutely beautiful work. This is the second one I've done for her. Got my 18-inch jet bandsaw, my Sommerfeld router table. This whole cabinet here was actually built out of panel or pallets. My jet 8-inch joiner. Come back in this corner. Got my DeWalt planer. It feeds out onto this table. My toolbox that I've had for since I was 18. I won't say how long that is. My 2 chop boxes. I try to keep all of my power tools in here. Yeah, and I got every color they make. 2 DeWalt chop boxes. My sander there. Then I have my T-Tot router planer up there. Go back this direction. Have a metal chop box here. My Delta drill press here. Just finished making up all these metal brackets for some cedar beams in the house that goes with those cabinets out front. Got my TIG welder, my MIG welder, my plasma cutter, my adjustable welding table. Made that about 35 years ago. And then we come in here and this is my office. That's my fly tying area. 85 drawers I got for all my fly tying material. And that's it. I had to do it fast, but it's Tom from Alaska.
That was awesome.
Oh my God. Thank you so much, Tom.
Major shop envy.
Okay, so I'm amending my previous request for a crosscut attachment for the table saw, and I want a sawmill and
a wood miser
and a propeller fan also. That's my new wish list.
Yeah.
Reminder,
very cool.
Send those shop tours to us at sessions@shapertools.com.
Thank you, Tom.
Email address. Thank you again, Tom. Cool. Should we roll into the next demo?
Let's do it. Let's say you have a bullet in your cabinet and you want to patch it.
Let's say you cut through 6 bullets with your sawmill.
That's so cool.
Oh my goodness.
Then
Okay.
you polish it up.
So we just have a boring piece of ash with a knot in it. This whole show isn't going to land after that shop tour. Let's show this off on the overhead camera. What I want to do is I want to cut this out, and I want to replace it with this similar piece of grain that I found that has kind of these rings that I think are going to match.
Yeah.
Pretty well.
And imagine this in a much larger scale, like a floor. You got a beautiful floor, big old knot, or big old damaged spot in the middle of it. This is the idea here.
So what we're going to do, how do I get this file onto Origin? I'm going to just draw this. I'm going to trace it. We're going to take that hand drawing. That digital file is going to get sent straight to Origin. Jake's going to cut out the positive out of this piece with no knot, and he's going to cut the pocket out of the piece with the knot, and we'll see how it goes. Everybody ready?
Let's do it.
Okay, cool. So I've got some fun stuff here. This is the key to this whole process. This, you guys remember when we printed things? This is computer graphics, clear adhesive backed inkjet transparency sheets. So we're going to use these transparencies to lay down on this piece of wood. We're going to draw over it. It's kind of like tracing paper. You could probably do this with tracing paper also, but this really lets you see the grain. So take the sheet out. Going to go ahead and peel this.
This is nice because it's lightly tacky.
Yeah, it's lightly. It's maybe even a little more tacky than I would have liked, but it's better for it to not move on you.
Yeah.
All right, so we got this. I'm actually going to save this because I want to re-adhere that when I do my tracing. And let's stick this down over that knot. Okay, now the key to this process, to making this as invisible as possible, is trying to loosely follow the grain, but also not too much. So we're going to go just on the outside of this grain line here. And the other thing that I'm trying to do is not put too many sharp corners in this, if any. I'm going to go around all of the things that I want to remove. I don't want to put sharp corners in here because the router bit in the router is round, And if I put a sharp corner in there, it's not going to be able to reach it. So we've got this. It's traced. All I'm going to do, let's peel this off. I'm going to give this to you now. Let's stick this back down on a white background. Now the white background part of this is important. Doesn't have to be perfect, but I don't want too much sticky stuff hanging over the edges. Okay, that's good. We'll bring the trace frame over here. Now, Goose, is the phone running or did I accidentally turn it off? Here we go. Click to start broadcasting. We got this broadcasting app on the phone I got to start back up, and we'll pull up the trace app one more time. So here we go. Remember, this is the oak leaf that we did. Trace is going to save the last thing that you worked on. If you want to take a new capture, just hit this camera back button on the bottom of the screen. Go ahead and... We're not back. Oh, I thought we were back. Let me... Oh, here we go. We were running, but let's start it again. Technology, everybody. Let's just get a transparency projector for this.
There you go.
And just project it
all you
and
need.
trace it by hand. All right. Back to the trace app. Are we up, Goose? Here we go. Perfect. So this is the oak leaf. All I'm going to do is hit this camera back button on the bottom left. Yes, we want to allow Trace to use the camera. And again, I'm going to bring this trace frame into the scene and hit the capture button at the bottom of the screen. Now, we're pretty close here, but you can see we've got a little bit of junk in this trace capture. So the first thing that I want to do is try to change the contrast a little bit to get rid of this little overlapped part right here at the top. Or, you know, Jake, I've got an even better idea. We can just use the select button to take care of that.
There you go.
Let's show you both ways. What do you think, guys? Because we've got a lot of adjustments on here to help you deal with stuff like this. All of this is going to be in the menu with the sliders on the bottom right here. We're going to click into that. The first thing that we could do is use the object selection mode here to select just what we want. Right now we have remove selected, so when I paint over this with my finger, it's going to remove all that blue stuff. When I go back to select, all I want is this inside line that has this nice clean profile. I really like that. We'll come back to this because I like this, but I'm going to show you the other way also. Let's cancel what we just did, go back into the settings. Now the other thing that we could try is up here at the top in the drop-down menu, adjust scan. And adjust scan allows you to adjust the contrast of the trace capture. So let's see what happens if we turn that down a little bit. That's not good. We want a solid black and white line on that. What happens if we turn it up? That's a little better. We might be a little more solid in that upper corner. Let's try that. Done. And you can see when we go back to the center line now, we don't have that little nub in the upper right corner of this. So I'm going to go ahead and keep this. I do still want to remove that little pip inside the outline here. Okay, that's a good outline. One last adjustment, because we talked about sharp corners. This button at the bottom here, that's the wiggly line, this is smoothness. So I can turn my smoothness up on here to help get rid of any little sharp corners that I introduced by drawing this by hand. Let's see what happens as I turn this up. You can see it's progressively getting a little smoother until the line starts to disappear. That is too smooth. Let's go back to this. I think that was a good amount right there. We're on setting number 4. Okay, and again, to save this, I'm going to hit the check button. I'm going to save to Shaper My Files. And I'm going to call this Ash, not Patch. And save. Okay.
Cool.
Now, as always with Origin, we're going to cut the positive out first and then fit the positive into the negative. What do you think?
Let's do it. So you just pulled it up like that. No, we're going like this.
Yeah, we're going like that.
Okay, so I'm going to rotate like that. Double-sided tape. Down here.
Yeah, that looks good. We love this double-sided tape for holding down our work. It is pressure sensitive, so if you press down harder, the harder it sticks. But The weird thing is, no matter how hard it sticks, it still releases exactly when you want it to. How do they do that?
I don't know. But we liked it so much that it's available in our store.
All right, we got this support bar coming in. We've got more shows on Workstation if you guys are curious about this small parts shelf that Jake is using. Recommend you go and look back at any of those shows. But the key here is that we want that material to be in the same plane, more or less, as the surface that Origin is currently sitting on.
What are we at here? 0.26.
Nice.
I have an 1/8 inch bit in there.
Yeah, let's look at, well, what do we need to do? We need a scan,
Scan,
design,
sign, cut.
So let's make a new scan. Again, this is taking that picture of our workspace. We've got fresh material on here, so we want a new image that captures that material. Just taking a bunch of pictures with the camera that's on the front of Origin. And then when that's done, it's going to automatically drop Jake into design mode. Now, again, we're skipping grids for this show. We're going to go ahead and just import straight from Shaper Hub, straight from Trace, that is in this case. We're going to import the last shape that I made, which is Ash Not Patch. And the goal right now is to just kind of tastefully place this above that, that little patchy section, right? What we want to replace the knot with.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think about that grain alignment there?
I feel pretty good.
Pretty close. The grain's a little bit different on this one. But
Yeah.
not too bad.
Do I want to come down around here?
No, I think you want to get that center part.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think you want to get that.
I'm going to place right there. And we are cutting the outside in 3 passes.
Okay, nice.
Let's do it.
All right, so 3 passes around the outside of this inlay. Again, Jake is using auto pass for this, so it's going to ramp down those 2 roughing passes automatically and then come in for a final finishing pass. When you're doing inlays like this, obviously be sure that these small parts that you're cutting away have been taped down or held in place firmly. That's why we really like this tape, because it allows you to hold down even small parts like this pretty sturdily, and then it does let go when you ask it to with the pry bar. And you can see Origin automatically bringing Jake in just for that last little finish pass. We love doing roughing and finishing passes because when you're removing so much less material on that finishing pass, it's just that much easier to keep the cut as smooth as possible. And because this is a hand tool also at the end of the day, you are running it by hand. We want to keep that cut and that cut action of Jake driving the router around the workpiece nice and smooth.
Bingo. Just want to mark what my top is. Very lightly.
Very lightly.
Cool.
All right.
Now onto the pocket.
Yeah. Now into the pocket. I could sand that if you want to set up the pocket, or I could just sit here and watch you sand. I don't ever get to sand, really, you know?
That's true. Dropping down my fence, or I'm sorry, my shelf. And bringing in this.
What did you think of the corner radii on that cut? How did it feel when you were on Origin? Did it feel like you were really getting into all the corners with that? What were you using, an 1/8 inch bit?
That was an 1/8 inch. I think I'll be safe with a 1/4.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah. When doing large pockets, especially, you want to work your way up from a larger bit so you can hog out the material to a smaller bit so you can get the details.
Yeah, if we need to go back, we can. Which side was the top? There's the T. Okay, that's the top. And if we go over to the overhead cam here, we can see, once again, we've got our drawing, and we smooth this out so it's going to be slightly, ever so slightly different from the line that we drew. But there's that inlay piece that we selected. Nice. Quick bit change. So what are you doing now?
Telling the tool that I have a 1/4 inch bit. It's going to ask me to Z-touch. Going to let's do its thing. And I'm going to do a new scan.
Yeah, because kind of like how we placed the file relative to the grain of the inlay, we want to place this file also to clear out relative to the knot. So we're going to just place this tastefully relative to the grain in the image.
Great. Grab that same file from our import tab. Rotate 90. All right. Placement. Oh, that's actually right on the grain. That's great.
Well, that's the one that should really match.
Right there. How's that feel to you?
Looks good. Yeah. I think we're splitting hairs at this point. This is going to be really good.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to change this from an outside to a pocket, cutting down to a 0.26. Let's get after it.
All right. All right, again, with this pocket and cut, Jake's going to be able to clear out the inside of this cross-hatched area. The cool thing about seeing this on the screen also is that he's going to know when he's cutting over that knot, obviously, because he's looking right at it. Your cut resistance will change as you're going from a solid material to, a void in the material. But seeing that on the image really helps with things like that. He is also making sure to spiral outward in a clockwise direction from the middle of the cut. That allows you to make sure that you are 100% conventional cutting, which is where you're working against the direction that the router bit is spinning. That's important because when you go the opposite way, working with the direction that the router bit is spinning, the router can tend to run away with you. This happens with any plunge router, any router table. You want to always work against the direction that router bit is spinning. So when you're doing a big pocket like this, either start in the middle and work your way out clockwise, or start on the outside and work your way back in counterclockwise. And that'll keep you always working against the direction of rotation of that bit. There are some edge cases where you might want to climb cut, but we don't recommend it. If you want to do that, you can walk that path yourself. Again, as Jake's coming up to the boundary of this pocket here, that's where Origin's auto-corrective feature kicks in, and it's going to prevent him from going past the edge of where he wants to cut. All right, how's that look? Pretty good. Now let's go ahead and switch to that inside cut, and that's going to bring us right up to the line of that template. And what are we doing? A -3 thousandths offset, just like we did for the last inlay, because that fit really well together. Perfect. And now Jake's job is just to keep Origin loosely around that dotted line, keeping that dot floating inside the circle. Again, if he were to go outside the circle, Origin would retract and save his work, but I'm going to just float through this one. And when you're done, just tap that red button to finish. Tasteful sanding.
That was cool. You really do feel the density of the wood change quite a bit right around a knot.
Totally. You want to try a little test fit here before we
do it?
Pop that off of workstation?
Ooh.
What do you think? Doable?
I think it wants just a smidge more.
Take it to 5 thou negative offset real quick here.
Yeah.
Just so it drops in, just so we're not wailing on it. We don't want to put a new nut in it with the mallet, you know. Just pop a hole right through it. Okay, so Jake just adjusted that offset to minus 5/1000ths of an inch. That's going to take off just 2/1000ths of an inch all the way around the outside of this pocket. That's about half the thickness of a piece of paper, which is small, but it's not nothing. It's enough to make a difference here.
Need.
What do you think? Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's perfect.
I
It's not
think
coming
that'll
back
do it.
out. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah,
Sweet.
that's pretty good. Can I show that off on the overhead cam?
You can.
We got a little shadow line here. That'll sand out. But there's our trace. There's our patch. And that's going to be invisible once that's all sanded down.
That is very cool.
That's pretty nice. All right. And that's our show, everybody. Thanks for watching. Inlays, 2 ways with origin and trace. Bye, everybody.
Bye.